Ever wondered what connects a flimsy bridge collapsing in the wind, a building toppling over in an earthquake, and a wine glass shattering from a high-pitched note? It sounds like the setup for a strange joke, but the answer is surprisingly simple. A single, powerful concept in physics called resonance. Today, we'll be diving into the fascinating and sometimes terrifying world of resonance and how this simple principle can explain some of the biggest disasters in history. So, what exactly is resonance? Imagine pushing a child on a swing. You don't just shove them randomly, right? You push at just the right moment in their swing cycle. Each push adds a little more energy, making them go higher and higher. That's resonance in a nutshell, applying a force to an object at its natural frequency. Every object, from a tiny guitar string to a massive skyscraper, has a natural frequency, a specific rate at which it prefers to vibrate or oscillate. When an external force matches that frequency, the vibrations get amplified, sometimes to a catastrophic degree. Let's start with one of the most famous examples, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. In 1940, this brand-new suspension bridge in Washington state earned the nickname Galloping Gertie because it would ripple and sway even in moderate winds. The engineers knew it moved, but they didn't fully grasp the danger. On November 7th of that year, a steady wind of about 40 miles per hour blew across the bridge. Now, that's a strong wind, but not a hurricane. The problem wasn't the wind's brute force. It was its rhythm. As the wind flowed around the bridge deck, it created swirling vortices of air, a phenomenon called vortex shedding. The frequency of these vortices happened to perfectly match the bridge's natural torsional or twisting frequency. It was like the wind was giving the bridge a perfectly timed push with every gust, over and over again. The small twists grew into massive, uncontrollable oscillations. The bridge deck twisted violently back and forth, rising and falling by several feet. Within hours, the once mighty steel and concrete structure tore itself apart and plunged into the river below. The disaster wasn't caused by overwhelming force, but by the relentless, rhythmic amplification of resonance. This same principle plays out in earthquakes, but with the ground itself providing the rhythmic push. During an earthquake, seismic waves travel through the earth, shaking the ground back and forth. Different types of soil and rock vibrate at different frequencies. Soft, loose soil, like that found in ancient lake beds, tends to amplify long, slow seismic waves. Now consider a tall building. Tall buildings also have a natural frequency, and they tend to be slow, swaying back and forth over several seconds. This created a deadly combination during the 1985 Mexico City earthquake. The city is built on an old lake bed, and the soft soil amplified the seismic waves from a distant earthquake, making them slow and powerful. These slow waves had a frequency that was dangerously close to the natural frequency of many mid-rise buildings, those between about 5 and 15 stories tall. While shorter and taller buildings were largely unaffected, these mid-rise structures entered into resonance with the ground's shaking. The swaying became more and more extreme until hundreds of them suffered catastrophic failure and collapsed. It was a tragic lesson in how a building's height and the geology beneath it can conspire to create a resonant disaster. But resonance isn't just about bridges and buildings. It can happen on a much smaller but equally dramatic scale. You've probably seen videos of an opera singer shattering a crystal wine glass with just their voice. This isn't a magic trick. It's pure physics. A crystal glass has a very specific natural frequency. When the singer hits a note that exactly matches that frequency, the sound waves, which are just vibrations in the air, transfer their energy to the glass. The glass begins to vibrate. As the singer holds the note, each sound wave gives the glass another perfectly timed push. The vibrations in the glass walls become larger and larger, flexing the crystal more and more. Crystal is strong but brittle. It can't bend very far. Eventually, the resonant vibrations become so intense that they exceed the material's elastic limit. The stress becomes too much, and the glass shatters spectacularly. It's the same principle as the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, just on a scale you can hold in your hand. Resonance can even affect our own bodies. Have you ever been in a car with a tire that's out of balance? At certain speeds, the whole car starts to shake and vibrate uncontrollably. That's because the wobbling tire's rotation speed hits a resonant frequency of the car's suspension or frame. It's annoying, but what about something more serious? For example, some studies have looked into how prolonged exposure to low-frequency vibrations in vehicles or heavy machinery might affect the human body, as our internal organs also have their own natural frequencies. It's a field of study called biodynamic response, and it's crucial for designing safer vehicles and workplaces. However, it's important to remember that resonance isn't always destructive. In fact, we harness it for good all the time. When you tune a radio, you're adjusting an electric circuit to resonate at the frequency of the station you want to hear, amplifying that signal while ignoring all the others. A microwave oven uses microwaves tuned to the resonant frequency of water molecules. This makes the water molecules in your food vibrate rapidly, generating heat and cooking your meal from the inside out. Musical instruments are all about controlled resonance. A guitar string's vibration resonates with the wooden body of the guitar, amplifying the sound and giving it a rich tone. So, from the humble swing set to the magnificent concert hall, from the terrifying collapse of a bridge to the simple act of heating up leftovers, resonance is a fundamental force shaping our world. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes it's not the size of the force that matters, but its timing. A small, persistent push, applied at just the right rhythm, can build up to create something beautiful, useful, or, as we've seen, utterly destructive. Understanding this simple principle of physics doesn't just help us explain past disasters. It helps engineers and scientists design safer structures, better technology, and a more resilient future. The world is full of vibrations, and by learning to listen to its rhythms, we can avoid dancing to a destructive beat. Thanks so much for watching. What other simple physics principles with huge impacts should we cover next? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey into the science of disaster, don't forget to subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Stay curious,